When did you last end a day feeling, this day was lived, not survived, not worked through, actually lived? Morning, you checked the news. Afternoon, you read who AI replaced next. Evening, you compared yourself to someone on social media. Answered messages, handled the urgent, got tired. The day passed, but honestly, you were barely in it. Not a lazy day, a typical day in 2026. The world has changed so fast over the last few years that many people didn't even have time to notice something is off. Relocations, lost anchors, anxious news, AI reshaping careers faster than people can adapt, uncertainty that stopped being the exception and became the backdrop. In a world like this, it's easy to justify anything, including years slipping by without knowing where they went. But here's what matters. Years aren't stolen only by big upheavals, not by crises themselves, not by relocations, not by instability. Years are most often stolen by small daily traps that a smart, hardworking, thoughtful person walks into, precisely because they don't look like traps. They look like reasonable behavior. Today, 7 of those traps, relevant right now, and principles that are centuries old and work just as precisely in 2026 as they always have. I saved the 7th point for last, not because it's less important, but because without it, the first 6 don't work at full strength. Keep that in mind. First, the when things settle down mode. This is the most costly trap of the 7. It seems reasonable. Why build if everything might change again? Why invest in yourself if you don't know where you'll be in a year? Better to wait until things calm down, until things clarify. It feels like wisdom, but it's a trap. Because later, and when things settle, aren't a temporary pause. They're a state that reproduces itself. While a person waits for outside stability, nothing gets built inside. Skills don't grow, projects don't start, relationships don't deepen, questions don't get asked. 2 years later, they're still waiting, only now with a 2-year gap and extra exhaustion from the waiting itself. Psychologists working with people in forced relocation situations consistently observe one pattern. Those who waited a year or two in temporary mode lost exactly those years. Didn't save them for later, lost them. Those who started building in the middle of uncertainty ended up in a fundamentally different place a few years on. Viktor Frankl went through what most of us cannot imagine. From that experience, he drew one conclusion that became the foundation of an entire field of psychology. Meaning doesn't wait for stability. It lives inside difficult times, if a person is willing to look for it there. The instability is real. But this isn't a pause from life. This is life. One small building step, not when things settle. Today. By the way, there's a separate conversation on the channel about exactly this. How to go through the hardest things and not lose yourself. I'll leave the link in the description. If you're in a difficult time right now, watch it after this video. Second, news as a way of life. You open the feed, more anxious news. A crisis somewhere, elections somewhere, a disaster somewhere, AI changing the rules again. Staying informed feels not just reasonable, it feels responsible. Someone who isn't in the loop looks naive. So many people open the news in the morning, check at lunch, read in the evening, and every time they hope for the same thing, that this next update will finally relieve the anxiety. But it doesn't. It only demands the next one. Staying informed is not the same as understanding. And being in the know doesn't mean putting everything through yourself every day that you have no power to change. An hour of news produces anxiety and produces no clarity. A person comes out of that hour not more ready for life. They come out heavier. If after reading something you can't take any action, maybe that's not information for you right now. It's just wait. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire through wars, epidemics, and political crises. His personal notes survive to our day. And one thought keeps returning again and again. You don't control events. You control only your response to them. not a call to ignorance, a precise distinction that preserves strength. Here's what's in my power, and here's what isn't. Every hour and every bit of attention spent on the second is taken from the first. Once a day, 15 minutes, one source. Everything else isn't information. It's noise that costs you clarity. Third, anxiety about AI instead of action. AI is genuinely changing professions. No point pretending otherwise. Tasks that used to require a person are moving to algorithms today. It's happening fast and visibly. But here's what happens with most people. They read about the threat and do nothing. They worry and postpone. They wait until things become clearer, and while they wait, they fall behind. Anxiety without learning doesn't protect. It only makes a person weaker against what they fear. Anxiety became a way to imitate responsibility without carrying it. Seneca wrote 2,000 years ago, "While we delay, life passes." Look at previous waves of technology, the internet, smartphones. Each time there were those who worried for years, and those who started learning right away. A few years later, there was a gap between them, not because one group was smarter, but because one group acted and the other waited. 30 minutes a week. Take one AI tool and apply it to your specific work. Not a course, not theory. Just try it. That's the difference between a person who worries and a person who adapts. Fourth, comparing yourself to people from a different context. Once, a person compared themselves to their neighbor. That was painful, but at least honest. The contexts were similar. Now the comparison zone is the whole world. Someone who's relocated compares themselves to someone who's lived in a new country for 10 years. That person compares to someone with a different passport, different income, different starting point. And then everyone compares themselves to someone else's curated display in social media. An endless ladder upward with missing rungs. You're comparing your inner chaos to someone else's display window. You're not comparing people. You're comparing contexts you can't see. That doesn't motivate. It exhausts. A person spends energy not on moving forward, but on feeling inadequate. Epictetus was a slave, became one of the greatest philosophers of his time. He said it simply, "Don't ask what's happening to others. Ask what you can do with your own. The only honest frame of reference is your own. Where were you a year ago? What changed? What's moving?" That comparison gives fuel. Everything else is a break. Fifth, busyness instead of movement. I'm constantly busy, one of the most common phrases of our time, and one of the most misleading. Busyness became the socially acceptable way to avoid doing what matters most. Because doing what matters most is frightening. You might fail there. The result isn't obvious, but exchanging messages, sitting in meetings, answering notifications, that's safe. Looks like work, feels like movement. But nothing important actually moves. A principle formulated in the early 20th century and confirmed across dozens of fields since. A small portion of effort produces most of the results. That hasn't changed. The question isn't, what am I busy with? The question is, what of this actually moves the main thing forward? Every morning, 3 tasks that matter. Not 20. 3. Once those are done, do whatever you want. But those 3 come first. Sixth, putting yourself off until later. First the kids, then work, then a crisis, then a move, then exhaustion, then the kids again. This isn't about stopping caring for those close to you. It's about something else. A person who completely disappears from their own life eventually brings those close to them not strength, but exhaustion, irritation, and emptiness. You can't give what you don't have. Aristotle wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Quality isn't an act, it's a habit. What you invest in each day grows. What you postpone atrophies. Not suddenly, slowly, imperceptibly. After 5 years of putting things off, a person discovers what they meant to develop has grown weaker. What they wanted to start feels even further away now. Not because time passed, but because nothing was being built. 20 minutes a day isn't a sacrifice. It's the minimum investment in the person through whom the rest of your life will be lived. Hit like if this is landing. It helps the channel reach the people who need this conversation right now. 7th, life without an answer to the question why. Here we are, the last one, the one that explains the other 6. A person can cut out the news, start learning, stop comparing themselves to others, do 3 tasks a day, find 20 minutes for themselves, and still, after some time, slide back into the old habits. Because without an answer to why, any changes run on willpower, and willpower runs out. Why isn't a motivational technique. It's a question about the direction of the soul. A person can be busy, useful, even successful, and still live without an inner answer. Surviving and calling it living. Coping and calling it moving. Viktor Frankl observed this in extreme circumstances. The one who has a why can bear any how. Not a metaphor. An observation tested where ordinary explanations stop working. If life isn't given by accident, then the question why isn't a luxury. It's a way of not losing what was entrusted to you, not wasting what was handed to you. One question worth writing on paper. For whose sake do I want the next 5 years to go well? Not for what purpose, for whose sake? Who benefits? What do I want to build? What kind of person do I want to be at the end of that road? If the answer comes, the other 6 traps will start losing their grip on you by themselves. What do all 7 have in common? They all exploit the same feeling. First, sort things out on the outside, then start on the inside. First, the world stabilizes, then I'll start building. First, the anxiety passes, then I'll learn. First, I stop comparing, then I'll take care of myself. But that's not a sequence, that's a trap. The world outside won't stabilize for your sake. It just keeps going. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Frankl, Epictetus, Aristotle. They lived in periods that weren't stable either. Wars, epidemics, slavery, prison, camps. Their principles survived not because they were beautiful, but because they worked when there was no hope for outside stability at all. They work now too. Yes, circumstances are real. But if you explain everything by circumstances, you won't have a single day left that you're responsible for. 2026 doesn't have to become another year you explain away. One day, today, is still in your hands. Years don't come back, but today is still yours. Write in the comments, which of the 7 thieves is strongest in your life right now? Just the number. No explanation needed if you don't feel like it. Hit like if this conversation was worth it. Subscribe if this format speaks to you. Honest, no panic, no easy answers. And if someone close to you is living in when things settle down mode, send it to them, just as a thought. See you next time.